All right, welcome back to the Modern Capitalist. In this video, we are going to kind of go through or discuss this idea of why advanced trading is actually quite simple. And excuse the clickbaity kind of title of the video and the thumbnail or not, but I think it's an important kind of topic to discuss for you to really understand kind of the progression through the kind of investment journey, right? From newbie to the seasoned kind of experienced trader slash investor, right? And I think one of the good charts that I saw, one of the good kind of images that I saw recently was this chart graphing kind of expertise against, I would say, complexity, right? I think I don't know who put it on Twitter, but I think it was Naval Ravikant. But basically, in any kind of highly competitive, advanced field or endeavor, right? Normally, what you see is this kind of bell curve kind of chart. So as someone advances from a noob to a kind of advanced seasoned pro or whatever, the initially the complexity that the noob experience is very simple, right? And then it's very low, and then the complexity gradually increases, and the ratio of kind of advanced uh, complexity rises sharply, right? As someone goes through kind of the middle stage of like technical expertise. But then what's interesting is as the person becomes more advanced in a certain field, the complexity actually tends to drop, right? And I'll kind of use some couple analogies to explain how this applies to the trading and investment field as well, right? So when you are starting out as a newbie, the reason why the complexity is so low is because you don't even know what to look for, right? Like what stocks to even choose, right? What indicators to look for, the what charts, what time frames to look at, right? You don't even know where to start. As you kind of progress and you start learning a bit more about kind of the space, specifically trading in this case, you realize that there's so much more information, right? There's so much to look at. There's so many indicators, right? VWAP, TWAP, heat maps of like the order book, right? Do you look at the order flow, the time and sales, the chart patterns, the candlestick patterns? There's so much more information, right? So I think this phase where you go from newbie to kind of the middle kind of like, I would say the time frame, maybe like 3 to 6 months or let's say 3 to 12 months. This kind of beginning part of your journey tends to be somewhat overwhelming for people because, like I said, it's like an information overload, right? What stocks to trade, indicators, what charts to look at, etc., right? But as people are, as kind of traders, assuming they get over this threshold, right, and they don't, wipe out all the capital, and that's another topic that you probably should go check out my video on, risk management, right? Assuming people do get past this kind of bottleneck threshold and survive, which not a lot of people do, right? Only 10 to 20% of people, probably less, right? What you see is that the complexity of their trading style and their kind of trading strategies tend to really drop, right? Um, Case being, right? You see, a lot of traders, a lot of the highly successful traders, only work like 2 to 3 hours a day, right? They go in their office, they look at some charts. Um, if there's nothing going on, they probably just call it a day. If there's something going on, they put on like one or two trades, make like 10 or 15 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand, whatever the number is, and they just call it a day, right? To the outside perspective, the simplicity of the noob looks very similar to the simplicity of the Advanced Pro, right? Because both of them are just basically chilling there, working a couple hours, and it's not like advanced trading is not what you see in the movies where these guys are like on their computer, like typing away, like pressing algorithms and all these buttons like throughout the day, right? Personally, using my own trading examples, I on average only make like one or two trades a day maximum. Out of those trades that I make, I would say that 90% of my money is made in probably less than 10% of my trades, right? And this is what we call kind of the Pareto distribution, right? This is like what they call the 80-20 rule, right? Uh, you know, 80% of people or 80% of the effort is created by 80% of the results is created by 20% of the effort. I would say that in finance and in trading investing, that this distribution is even more extreme. It's like 95 to 5, in that 5% of people make 95% of the money. 5% of the opportunities contribute to 90% of your profit and loss at the end of the year. And I've like tracked this, right, statistically over the years. And so as you become kind of more advanced, the reason why the complexity drops is you begin to realize that, provided that you journal properly, you take good notes of like your trading results, you realize that the Pareto distribution apply to not only the trades that you take, but also kind of the indicators and the charts that you use, right? You begin to really strip away the excesses, right? And what you're left with is a very kind of seemingly simple, quote unquote, kind of system where, for example, you are only looking at like the daily chart and the intraday chart, and you're only placing one or two trades a day. And somehow at the end of the day, it's like miraculous, right? You're like making the monthly income or the like annual income of like the average working person, right? But the key thing is simplicity does not equal kind of easiness, right? The simple does not equal easy. It takes years without guidance. Maybe with proper guidance, you could probably get through this bottleneck within like 6 to 12 months, right? It takes extreme kind of excruciating work to get from this kind of simplicity, which is like the oblivious type of simplicity, to this type of simplicity where it's just like controlled um, and calculated simplicity, right? Getting over this hump takes extreme amounts of work, but once you get to the other side, the life of a trader is actually quite simple. But just to emphasize, simple does not equate to easiness, right? For example, I always talk about the golden formula, right, of investing. Average win, average win rate times average win subtracted by average loss rate times average loss, right? Times frequency. It takes years of basically optimizing this formula in order to maximize your returns, right? Sometimes when I was talking about Pareto distribution, when you're starting out, it's normal to test out and try out all these strategies, right? Scalping, within the same minute versus, placing a trade and exiting, entering within a time frame of like a couple hours, right? As a noob, to get over this hump, you have to try all these things, and that causes a rise in complexity. But once you kind of get used to the markets, you realize that you figure out what works specific for you, right? For example, emotionally, are you built to handle, being able to take $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 losses within a couple minutes, right? If that's not your psychological makeup, then scalping intra-minute is probably not the strategy for you, right? You probably want to, find a strategy that you can, get in and out within a couple hours, so the emotion and the pain is not as compressed within this scalping type of strategy, right? But it takes years to basically optimize, this equation for your own kind of makeup and psyche in order to maximize the expected value, because that's what all trading is, right? You're maximizing expected value by playing with these parameters, right? And it actually is to go from a negative EV to basically just flat is actually a significant accomplishment. Maybe only 10 to 15% of people actually get to this level, right? Once you stop the bleeding, because everyone bleeds in the beginning, once you stop the bleeding, which is the first milestone, then you can worry about, getting to a profitable stage. And from there, you optimize this equation in order to maximize your EV, right? And this kind of whole journey corresponds to this kind of simplicity to complex to simple kind of progression, right? Another kind of, I would say, progression to expect, or this type of like emotional journey to expect, is the emotional side of trading, right? Slowly building up your tolerance as you scale your trading in order to handle larger and larger losses. The reason why I always talk about losses is because you cannot make large money without being able to handle similarly large losses, right? I use the analogy of, working out in a gym, right, where you progressively train your body in order to handle heavier and heavier loads on your, physical body, right? A similar analogy to trading is you need to slowly but steadily, consistently overload your psychological pain tolerance so that you can handle larger and larger losses. For example, when you start out, everyone loses money in the beginning, right? So when I started out trading, because I know that people lose money in the beginning. So there's no point trying to trade for like thousands of dollars a day, right? So when I started out trading for $50 to $100, just in and out, right? Just trying to get used to the loss, the pain of losing $100, right? Once you get past that, once you get acclimated to that psychologically, you move from, $100, right, to maybe $300, right? Once you get acclimated to that, you move up to 1,000, right? And slowly you progressively overload your psyche. So at this point, a couple of years ago, trading for $50, $100. Now I'm trading for like 50,000 to $100,000 a day, right? But it took years to progressively overload and build that pain tolerance, because those type of gains, the 5 and 6 figure gains, do not come without, being able to accept those similarly large losses, right? What you don't want to do is try to, go from trying to make $500 a day to instantly next week trying to make $50,000 a day, right? Because psychologically, you will not be able to tolerate that. That's as if a like guy in the gym tried to bench like 50 pounds one week and try to next week go up to like 300 pounds, right? It'll straight up break him physically. So it's the journey of trading, it's you see these kind of seasoned or like experienced kind of traders, the simplicity that you see at face value, it's very different from the simplicity that you experience as a newbie. And the journey of a trader is to basically go from the oblivious type of simplicity and to get past this unnecessarily kind of complex threshold and eventually come back down to this control type of simplicity where you can, work for a couple hours a day, and make whatever the monthly salary, annual salary of like the average working person, right? And that's kind of like the journey of kind of the progression of a trader over the years, right? And it's personally a journey that I've been through, and I'm continuing to go through right now, right? Because there's always a next level to get to. So that's it for this video, and take care.